Hello, my name is J Guignard. I am editor of the anthology Pop the Clutch, Thrilling Tales of Rockabilly, Monsters, and Hot Rod Horror, published by Dark Moon Books. And it is nominated for the 2019 Bram Stoker Awards as presented by the Horror Writers Association. An immense honor to be on the ballot. I have the nomination certificate, and this will be framed and given a special place on the wall alongside various other accolades dating back from childhood. I wanted to take a moment to read a passage from this anthology. I believe I have 19 authors in here. Each one of these stories, it's written around the theme of the wild side of the 1950s. And one of the stories in here by one of my favorite authors, Joe R. Lansdale, co-written with his daughter, Casey Lansdale. So that's a selection. I'm just kind of pulling out from the middle of the story, but yeah, it's a great one. So with that being said, this is about a pair of teenagers, boy and a girl, who've just recently formed a rockabilly band, and they're chatting inside the girl's house. In Belinda's house, she had a family Bible, and in it were lists of ancestors, and they went way back. She said before the Bible was even written, things had been collected by her ancestors, and finally they found their place inside that book, written down from notes and memory. On her dad's side were the singers, but all of them women. Her dad, he played guitar, she said, but the women were the singers. None of them ever recorded, singing at fairs and all manner of spots, pulling in crowds. There were rumors of dancing men and crying women, and finally Belinda's ancestors were run out of town, even burned at the stake, and that was long after Salem, after witches were thought to be myth, and those burnings in the 30s didn't make the history books. But the way those women sang, Belinda's ancestors, they cued something reptilian inside of the listeners, something they regretted feeling in the end. Yeah, those women went way back, all the way to Greece, and before it was Greece, at least according to the notes Belinda said were in the Bible, written in a tight, spidery hand. And then, before that, were even other notes. And then things she couldn't even understand because the shapes they were written in made no sense. She told me all of this as we lay in bed on a cold, clear night, the trains coming and going, shaking the house. I know how this sounds, she told me, but I'm descended from some powerful women on my father's side. That's why he left, I think, because he saw I was unhappy and angry, and, rumor is, that's where the power comes in. Anger fuels it. I try not to be angry, Ronald, but I am. Maybe it's because I just don't fit in. Maybe it's because I inherited it. But I boil like a kettle and foam like a rabid dog inside. I know, I said. I can feel it when I hold you. It scares me a little. I get those feelings that I can't see the sky, but I can feel the dark, even if it's bright as a blue jay outside. That dark is like a shadow, and it climbs up me from way, way down in my boiling belly, and it comes out of me in a voice like a storm. And here's the thing, Ronald. I know there's still more. As I said earlier, so did I. Now, I didn't know exactly what to say there, but finally I did. I said, well, that sounds like a song. It's like Armageddon, Ronald. And you know why? Because I am a descendant of those long ago sirens that tried to lead Odysseus into the rocks. Now I'm feeling your arm go slack, Ronald. You're not holding me the same way as before. You think I'm crazy? No, no, I just don't know how you mean it, what you're saying. I mean that before the Greeks were called Greeks, even before the stories of Jason and his Argonauts and Odysseus and his crew met the sweet wails of the sirens, there were stories of them. Women who by inheritance or some strangeness no one has ever defined had a voice that called to those who would listen. Only the deaf or the ones with plugged ears were safe. It was like those siren voices had hooks in them and lines, and the voices pulled those who heard them toward their doom into the rocks. And I know the source of our voice, for in a way, it's all one loud voice. It's rage, Ronald. It's about women made small, pushed down and lost, like my mother. Without her husband, without a man, she couldn't stand it. She even abandoned her daughter. Didn't know how to be herself by herself. She knows, too, what I am on my father's side. And maybe that's the real reason she left. She didn't want to be here when it all goes wild. Damn, Belinda, I said. I don't know what to say about all that. Just say it. Tell me that you believe me, she said. I'm going to take a break there, and I hope you enjoyed that passage from the story called Tremble by Casey Lansdale and Joe R. Lansdale. I hope you enjoyed it enough that you're going to run out and want to read more of that story and all of the other stories included in Pop the Clutch, edited by me, Eric J. Guignard, and thank you for your time.
Hi, a short reading from Neil Gaiman's Snow Glass Apples graphic novel art and adaptation by Colleen Doran, lettering by Todd Klein. I do not know what manner of thing she is. None of us do. She killed her mother in the birthing, but that's never enough to account for it. They call me wise, but I am far from wise, for all that I foresaw fragments of it, frozen moments caught in pools of water or in the cold glass of my mirror. If I were wise, I would not have tried to change what I saw. If I were wise, I would have killed myself before ever I encountered her, before ever I caught him. Wise and a witch, or so they said. And I'd seen his face in my dreams and in reflections for all my life. 16 years of dreaming of him before he reined his horse by the bridge that morning and asked my name. He helped me onto his high horse, and we rode together to my little cottage, my face buried in the gold of his hair. He asked for the best of what I had. A king's right it was. His beard was red bronze in the morning light, and I knew him, not as a king, for I knew nothing of kings then, but as my love. He took all he wanted from me, the right of kings, but he returned to me on the following day and on the night after that, his beard so red, his hair so gold, his eyes the blue of a summer sky, his skin tanned the gentle brown of ripe wheat. His daughter was only a child, no more than 5 years of age when I came to the palace. A portrait of her dead mother hung in the princess's tower room, a tall woman, hair the color of dark wood, eyes not brown. She was of different blood to her pale daughter. The girl would not eat with us. I do not know where in the palace she ate. I had my own chambers. My husband, the king, he had his own rooms also. When he wanted me, he would send for me, and I would go to him and pleasure him and take my pleasure with him. One night, several months after I was brought to the palace, she came to my rooms. She was 6. I was embroidering by lamplight, squinting my eyes against the lamp's smoke and fitful illumination. "Princess?" She said nothing. Her eyes were black as coal, black as her hair. Her lips were redder than blood. She looked up at me and smiled. Her teeth seemed sharp even then in the lamplight. "What are you doing away from your room?" "I'm hungry." It was winter, when fresh food is a dream of warmth and sunlight, but I had strings of whole apples cored and dried hanging from the beams of my chamber. I pulled an apple down for her. "Here." Autumn is the time of drying, of preserving, a time of pickling apples, of rendering the goose fat. Winter is the time of hunger, of snow and of death. And it is the time of the midwinter feast, when we rub the goose fat into the skin of a whole pig stuffed with that autumn's apples. Then we roast it or spit it, and we prepare to feast upon the crackling. She took the dried apple from me and began to chew it with her sharp yellow teeth. "Is it good?" She nodded. I had always been scared of the little princess, but at that moment I warmed to her, and with my fingers gently I stroked her cheek. She looked at me and smiled. She smiled, but rarely. Then she sank her teeth into the base of my thumb, the mound of Venus, and she drew blood. I began to shriek from pain and from surprise, but she looked at me, and I fell silent. The little princess fastened her mouth to my hand and licked and sucked and drank. When she was finished, she left my chamber. Beneath my gaze, the cut she had made began to close, the scab to heal. Short reading from Snowglass Apples by Neil Gaiman, adaptation and art by me, lettering by Todd Klein. Thank you.
Summer is coming, and that means it's time for the Summer Scares reading program. Hi, my name is J Faraday, and I'm the co-director of the HWA's Summer Scares reading program, which each year selects books for libraries and schools to recommend to their readers. This year, because of social distancing, we've gone virtual. Earlier in the year, we announced our selections, and throughout May and June, we'll have videos from the authors on the list uploaded to the HWA's YouTube channel. Here's the link. As well as videos featuring information about the program, including how libraries can use the program resources and how patrons can access information through their libraries. For you writers, we would love if you let your local library know about the program. You can send them links to the videos or to the HWA's YouTube channel, and they can visit RA for All Horror. Here's the website for more information and regular updates. As an author, you can also work with your local library to have them put more horror on the shelves. Ask what's currently available in their digital collections and offer to help them add titles of interest. In return, many libraries will let you promote your books, especially new releases, on their website, social media pages, or newsletters. Summer Scares is a great program for all of our authors because it promotes the genre to readers of every age, from adult to young adult to middle grades. The goal of this program is to encourage a national conversation about the entire horror genre at libraries all over the country, and ultimately get more adults, teens, and children interested in reading. The titles are selected by a committee of 4 librarians and a special guest, who this year happens to be the amazing Stephen Graham Jones. Please spread the word and follow United for Libraries, Book Riot, Library Journal, School Library Journal, the HWA, and RA for All Horror throughout the summer to keep up with the latest news. Thank you, and stay safe.